I think designers are unique in the sense that sometimes they have to depend on brands to, as I said before, validate them, put them on the map, bring in money. We're at a time when there's like hundreds of thousands of young people out there, young and old, that are creating new models for everything, whether it's a taxi cab, whether it's a scooter, whether it's, a bed and breakfast. They're disrupting everything, right? And so people are either saying, I can take an existing model and change it and make something new by starting a new company, or they're saying, I have to go talk to this company and talk to them about how to reimagine their existing one, right? And the former is easier because you don't have to rely on the existing company to accept you and to give you approval to do what you want to do with their brand, right? But it's also hard to start a company. The latter, which is the disruption of an existing brand or company, is almost easier because you're saying your infrastructure exists, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna do something new, but I'm not gonna touch what you're doing here that's always been working, right? And let's see how it works. And many companies are reticent to do that, and the ones that are embracing that and can move with that are the ones that win, But also, it's hard to tell a company that's been around for a century or less, maybe decades, to do things differently when they've been perfectly comfortable all along, right?
We even have more disruption coming to fashion brands.
Absolutely.
As far as sustainability,
Yep.
as far as green energy.
Yep.
And Adidas just made that announcement. I think it was 2025.
Yeah, ocean plastics.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
all their shoes will be made with ocean plastics. Yeah, I don't know if they said entirely or at least some component will be made with ocean plastics by that year.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great.
I think it's
great.
I think it's fantastic.
It's part of the Parley Initiative, which
Parley Initiative?
Yeah,
Can
Parley.
you explain that to us?
I can't really.
It's fine.
I wish I knew more about it, but I just know that the Adidas Parley collaboration is one based on sustainability.
Okay.
And they've found ways to use recycled materials in their shoes, and they're doing it more and more. And Adidas is trying to find ways, at least publicly have announced that they're trying to find ways and have found ways to bring more of that in. And I think it's great because fashion in general is a business of excess and waste. And you have luxury brands that when they don't sell through a particular item, they'll burn it. And not only is that terrible for waste, but it's terrible for the environment, the ozone layer, and the chemicals that are released into the atmosphere. And I know that there are more technologically savvy ways to incinerate goods and deal with the chemical and waste like that, but it's still harmful to our environment. And we produce so much product that never sells and is wasted and incinerated. And the more recycled materials that we can use, obviously the better. I don't know enough about sustainability to speak on it, but it's definitely an area where we need to explore.
Yeah, and I don't know that much either, but I see two opportunities out of that. And hopefully you can correct me if I'm wrong here. But from a designer perspective, I would think that is even a larger opportunity for them, being that they're able to patent a new form of material and reuse material that would have been considered waste and cut cost on on product or materials.
Sure. I know that there are some utility patents on how to reimagine or reuse fabric, how to break it down, how to break down plastics, rubber, and make them into garments and malleable pieces of clothing. I don't know much about it, but I do know that there's always innovation there. And I think, people are using hemp and plants to make garments. That's been around for a while, but they're doing it in ways that's not as crunchy as it used to be. And you could probably make the same sweatshirt I have on with hemp, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But yeah, I think it's someplace that we need to grow. And I think the millennial specifically is much more in tune to this than ever. And I think, some of the older generations don't give them enough credit for being socially conscious and on top of things and they are more than any other generation concerned with that. And I think that there are studies that show that if there's sustainability, if there's some social impact to your brand, millennials are much more likely to invest their money in it. And so I think the designers that are doing that are engaging their core fan base and their core consumer in a way that some of these older brands may not. And like, they're gonna be the dinosaurs and they're gonna get pushed out while new brands come in and say, this is not right. We're hurting our environment. Like, we can't keep doing this, you know?
And speaking of the dinosaurs, like we always say, it's hard to move a large ship, right?
Correct.
So from a distribution standpoint or a production standpoint, sustainability will change manufacturing for these large companies as well.
Sure.
If I look at 3D printing, that even allows designers to have more of a production in-house.
Correct. Correct. Although I think 3D printing, like, you know, is creating a lot of plastic waste, you know.
Yes.
People are experimenting in their home with like 3D printing, and I think, you know, sometimes they're not getting it right, or that, you know.
I've messed up a couple of times.
Yeah. And like, you know, my son has 3D printed a lot of stuff at school and like at summer camps, and like he comes back with this wacky piece of plastic and like we just toss in the garbage, right? Yeah. So I'm sorry if my kids are watching this and they know I threw out their artwork, but yeah, like I think with any aspect of technology, we're getting much more granular and the ability to do things at home. Like, we have technology in this room right now that's filming this podcast that didn't exist 10 years ago. And it's very easy for a single person to buy that technology and produce a professional quality production, right? It's just like a home studio in music. It's just like, you know, you don't need to have a dark room in your house to
make pictures.
Pictures, right? Like, there's just so many ways. And so we're seeing that even in fashion, right? Like, you can make garments at home much easier. There's the technology. You could probably make a shoe, you know, easier than you could. You know, you don't need a whole factory. So like, it's a wonderful time. Like, everything's being disrupted and being put in the hands of the people making it.